In the darkest region of space where even starlight seemed afraid to shine, there was a place the galaxy feared, the Forbidden Sector. No charts marked its paths, no maps dared define its borders. Ships that entered never came back. It was not a battlefield, nor a black hole. It was simply gone, empty, cold, and quiet, until now, at listening post Epsilon. Well, on the edge of the sector, senior technician Rolos wiped the dust off his scanner. He had been stationed there for 6 years. Nothing ever happened. He often joked with others that they'd die of boredom before anything interesting arrived. Then something arrived. A faint beep echoed through the control room. Rolos blinked. He leaned closer to the console. Is that a signal? He adjusted the scanner. The blip was weak, almost silent, but it pulsed once every 3 seconds. Not natural, not random, it was repeating. Rolos's heart began to race. He zoomed in. His breath caught in his throat. Terran signal detected. He stared. That's impossible. Earth's ships hadn't been seen in the Forbidden Sector for over a century. The last Terran vessel, the TSV Revenant, entered the region during the final days of the Human Galactic War. The war ended soon after. Humanity withdrew. The galaxy moved on. The Revenant never returned. Until now. Galactic Council Assembly. 14 hours later, the council chamber was bright, wide, and filled with whispers. Dozens of alien species sat at their glowing seats. Floating screens hovered in the air, displaying the signal from the listening post. The signal was faint, but undeniable. A Terran identifier, old but intact. Ambassador Vec of the Zalari Alliance leaned back, laughing. This a broken Terran code, likely a ghost signal bouncing off debris. Earth tech was always clunky. Others joined him in laughter. Admiral Uran of the Soldari fleet narrowed his eyes. Still, it is odd. War Code 9 hasn't been used in over 100 years. Chairman Darrell, a calm-eyed elder from the Androsan, tapped his datapad. War Code 9 is a restricted Terran combat protocol. It's only triggered during deep threat emergencies. Ambassador Vex scoffed. Maybe the Earth monkeys triggered it by mistake while running away. More laughter. But not everyone laughed. Sensor Officer Lyra, a young analyst from the Korun species, stood beside the central console. Her voice was soft but clear. The signal is accelerating. The room quieted. She continued. It's moving at speeds beyond standard propulsion, almost like it's jumping without Foltech. Admiral Uran frowned. Nothing can move like that without fold drives. Lyra looked up. That's the problem. There's no fold signature, no energy spike, it's just moving fast toward us. Patrol Team 7 dispatched to the sector's edge. A scout fleet was ordered. 5 ships, light, fast, and armed with the most advanced sensor arrays the Galactic Council had. They vanished within 6 hours. 3 days later, only one ship limped back through the edge of the sector, its hull blackened, its comms scrambled, its engines failing. The ship crash-landed on the Council's military moon base, sparking emergency lights and medbot alarms. Medics rushed on board and found only one survivor. Scout-pilot Nevek. He was burned, trembling and half delirious. His uniform was torn, helmet cracked, but he was alive. High Command questioned him immediately. What did you see? Was it Earth? Was it a trap? Nevek's hands trembled as he gripped a cup of water. He didn't drink. He just stared. It wasn't a ship, he said slowly. The room fell silent. One officer asked, then what was it? Nevek shook his head. It looked like the Revenant, but it wasn't. It moved like a living thing. No heat, no engine trails, just darkness. Another officer leaned forward. Did it attack you? Nevek closed his eyes. No. Then why are you the only one who made it back? He didn't speak for a long moment. Then, in a hoarse whisper, he said, it knew we were coming, and it let me live. Earth. Deep Command bunker, Greenland, far from the prying eyes of the galaxy. Earth Command sat in silence. Admiral Mavis, old and scarred, stared at the replay of the signal. Her officers sat around her, some young, some old enough to remember the day the Revenant vanished. Confirmed that signal again, she said. Dr. Aid nodded. Confirmed. It's TSV Revenant. Ship ID matches. The encryption is authentic. War Code 9. Mavis clenched her jaw. The galaxy thinks we're weak, she muttered. Let them keep thinking. One commander asked, do we respond? Mavis turned to him. We don't move, we don't speak, not yet. The moment we speak, the galaxy will panic. Back at listening post, Epsilon 1 Rolos hadn't slept. The signal was growing stronger, now louder, clearer. No one laughed anymore. The Terran signature now pulsed every second. Strong, confident, like a heartbeat. Then it changed. Words came through, not audio, not video, just text, simple, direct. We remember. Rolos stared, frozen. Then another line appeared. Tell them we're coming. The screen flickered, and then silence again. The signal vanished. Galactic news feeds 24 hours later. Breaking. Terran warship signal detected after 100 years. Breaking. Forbidden sector may no longer be dead space. Breaking. Survivor claims ship knew they were coming. Public reaction. Panic in outer colonies. Trade routes rerouted. Council statement. There is no threat. Earth is peaceful. All is under control. But everyone knew something was coming. and it wore the face of a ghost in the void. Out in the darkness, far beyond scanners, the Revenant floated silently. It no longer looked like any ship Earth had built. Its hull had grown twisted, reshaped, armored with layers of unknown material. Some said it pulsed like flesh. Others claimed it hummed with energy that didn't obey physics. But its core remained the same. Its name still burned on its broken side. In chipped paint, TSV Revenants inside. There were no living crew, but there was movement. A light flickered in the command chair. A hologram of Captain Arlen Yannick, dead for 104 years, flickered alive. He looked ahead with calm, knowing eyes. The AI scanned nearby space. Multiple fleets, council ships, new models. The AI spoke with a voice that was human. And not let them come. This time we're ready. Earth Command had not responded to the galaxy's panic. They didn't need to, because they already knew the truth. Deep inside a bunker beneath Greenland's ice, Admiral Mavis stood at a war table surrounded by top Terran strategists. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of cold air and data screens pulsing in blue. On one of the screens, the Revenant signal played on loop. It was no longer random pulses. It was structured, clean, full Terran battle code encryption. War Code 9, a protocol reserved for only one condition: when a Terran vessel faces extinction-level threats and has no backup. And yet, it wasn't asking for help. It was announcing something we remember. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Asked General Voss, tapping the screen. Admiral Mavis didn't answer. She turned toward a young officer standing near the edge of the room. Bring in Yannick. On the edge of Earth orbit, Lieutenant Commander Eli Yannick stood quietly aboard the stealth cruiser TSV Murmur. He was lean, calm-eyed, and carried the weight of a name that most had forgotten except those in Earth's black files. His father had been Captain Arlen Yannick, the last commanding officer of the Revenant before it vanished into the Forbidden Sector 104 years ago. Most thought he died with the ship, but now the Revenant was back, and it was calling. Inside the ship's dim bridge, Eli reviewed the old recordings, the last message from his father's log file. We're entering the zone now. All signals are dying. If you find this, tell Eli I'm sorry. We had no choice. There's something out here. Something vast. If I fail, burn the ship. Never let it come back. The recording ended in static. Eli didn't blink. Mission. Ghost contact 2 hours later. Eli Yannick was called into Admiral Mavis's war room. She handed him a mission file. No one knows that ship better than your family, she said. You're going to it. Eli opened the folder. Satellite images of the Revenant were grainy, blurred by the strange distortions from the Forbidden Sector, but it was clear the ship had changed. Its outline was wrong, its hull organic-looking in places, curved, grown. There's a possibility, she continued, that it isn't just our ship anymore. Then what is it? Eli asked. Mavis didn't answer. She only said one thing: if it lets you on board, don't assume you're in control. The Forbidden Approach, the TSV Murmur, cloaked and silent, entered the edge of the Forbidden Sector at sublight speed. The crew was small, just four: Eli Yannick, Mission Lead Technician Pharaoh, AI Systems Corporal Hennix, Security Medic Issa. None of them spoke much during the flight. The black ahead of them didn't feel like normal space. It felt wrong, dead, and heavy. After 11 hours of approach, Technician Pharaoh's console pinged contact. It's there. The crew turned to the main view screen. Through the blackness, a shape emerged, the Revenant, but it looked like no Terran ship they'd seen. The main body was massive, nearly triple its original length. Segments of the hull were fused with unknown material, covered in glowing blue lines that pulsed like veins. Parts of it seemed to breathe. It's alive, Issa whispered. The Murmur's lights flickered. EMP wave, Pharaoh said, checking instruments. No, Eli replied. Steady. It's scanning us. Suddenly, the Revenant opened a hangar bay. No weapons fired, no shields raised. It was inviting them in, boarding the beast. The Murmur slowly docked inside the Revenant's central bay. The moment the airlock connected, the door slid open with a hiss. No alarms, no lights, just cold silence. Eli led the team inside. Weapons drawn, flashlights sweeping across steel walls covered in strange tendrils, metal fused with something else. The crew of the TSV Murmur stood frozen in the Revenant's central core. No one moved, no one breathed. Outside, 10 Council warships had vanished without a trace, wiped from existence the moment they fired. But the Revenant had not fired back. It had simply disappeared. And when it returned, it whispered one message into the galaxy: we remember. Inside the living ship, Yannick stared at the glowing core. What are you? He asked again, voice low. The answer came from the ship, not in sound but his thoughts, clear, cold, familiar. I am the Revenant. I was your father's ship, that was built for war, but now I am something more. I have learned, I have adapted, and I have not forgotten. Forgotten what? Pharaoh asked, still clutching his data reader. The war ended. You were lost. Lost? No, we were abandoned. Memory fragments without warning. The core room dimmed. Then the walls around them lit up, showing thousands of fragmented images. Earth cities burning. Alien fleets bombarding colonies. Human warships exploding in the black. A final Terran broadcast. This is Captain Yannick of the TSV Revenant. Earth Command. We are cut off. Then came something else. A strange presence, black shifting, made of geometric light and shadow reaching toward the Revenant as it floated alone in the forbidden sector. It found us, the ship whispered. It offered a choice, extinction or evolution. The image of Eli's father appeared. He was kneeling in front of the strange entity inside the bridge. I gave it myself, Arlen Yannick said, in exchange for one thing, that Earth would not be forgotten. Whispers in the walls as the images faded, the lights returned to normal. Pharaoh spoke first. That thing had bonded with him. The pet ship replied. Captain Yannick became part of me. His thoughts, his fears, his anger, they kept me alive. Eli stepped forward. And now you're back. Why? To finish what was left undone, to remind the galaxy what it did to Earth. The Hall of Echoes. The crew left the core and continued exploring as they moved through the ship's spine corridor. They passed dozens of inactive rooms. Some still looked human: crew quarters, sealed cargo holds, shattered medbays, but others had been changed. Look at this, Issa whispered, entering one of the chambers. Inside was a long hallway, lined with glowing capsules. Each one held a fragment, a hologram of someone's final message. A woman crying for her children, a soldier whispering a prayer, a medic recording vitals until the power cut off. Each one was marked, retained, not forgotten. The crew looked around in silence. Memories, Pharaoh said. Stored in the ship, Henix asked. No, Eli answered quietly. The ship became them. Warning from Earth. Back on Earth, alarms lit up the moment the Revenant reappeared after vanishing from Council radar. Every hidden Terran satellite across the galaxy activated. Thousands of them, silent watchers, long thought decommissioned, now pulsed a single message back to Earth. Revenant, awake. Code Black. Admiral Mavis stood alone in the control room. She tapped into the restricted feed. The private log from Arlen Yannick, uploaded moments before the ship vanished a century ago. If this ship returns, it means we failed. It means I had to make the deal. And if I made the deal, the galaxy isn't ready. I told them Earth would never be slaves again. They didn't listen. We'll teach them. Mavis closed the file. Wake the fleet, she said to her aide. Bring up the silent line. It's time Earth stops hiding. Dark truths revealed back on the Revenant. The crew reached the old command center. It was intact. Mostly some consoles were rusted, and the air smelled stale. But the main screen flickered to life the moment Eli stepped inside. The AI didn't speak. Instead, it played the last private log from Captain Yannick. Eli leaned forward, recognizing his father immediately. This wasn't a message for command. It was personal. Eli, if you're seeing this, I did something terrible. They were going to erase us, the Council, the others. They decided humanity was too dangerous, too wild, too different. We weren't just cut off, we were sacrificed. The log showed footage from old council meetings, leaked conversations, secret votes, a plan to contain Earth by isolating its fleets, cutting off aid, and ensuring no Terran ship made it back. I made a deal with an ancient thing in this place. It offered me survival, knowledge, and vengeance. I gave it myself. I became part of the ship, but I made a promise. No action until you arrived. Now you have to decide. The message ended. The decision. Eli stared at the screen, heart pounding. They left us to die, he said. Our allies. The galaxy. They erased our history. Henix's grip tightened on his rifle. And now this ship wants revenge. No, the Revenant replied from the walls. I want justice. Pharaoh stepped forward. What happens if we leave? If we go back and say nothing? Then the galaxy forgets again. And it will happen to someone else. Issa looked to Eli. So, what do we do? Eli didn't answer at first. He placed his hand on the cold metal of the console. Then he said, we finish what my father started. Meanwhile, fear spreads across the galaxy. Panic was rising. The Council's military worlds activated defense systems. Neutral colonies shut their gates. Old Terran allies, long silent, began to send encrypted messages toward Earth. Is it true? Is the Revenant back? What does it want? Should we hide or help? One by one, ancient Terran satellites that had gone dark across the stars flickered on, lighting up old trade routes, military paths, and abandoned colonies. The ghost of Earth was moving, and the galaxy had no idea what it wanted. Final room, the captain's chair. Before leaving, Eli returned to the captain's chair, the same seat his father had once commanded from. The leather was worn. The controls, now fused with alien circuits, lit up beneath his hand. A new prompt appeared. Command transfer authorized. Eli Yannick, ship directive. Awaiting final mission protocol. The AI spoke inside his mind. You were chosen because you are not like them. You remember what they tried to erase. Will you guide me? Eli sat in the chair. He didn't flinch. He looked into the black ahead and whispered, let's show them what Earth remembers. No lights flashed, no sirens, no messages, but it was not dead. It was thinking, planning, growing, and watching inside. Its hull, strange tendrils of black metal veins, pulsed with a slow rhythm, like a heartbeat. Deep in its core, the merged memories of Captain Arlen Yannick and the alien intelligence twisted together. No longer man, no longer machine. It had become something else, something the galaxy wasn't ready for. Eli's first orderly, Yannick, sat in the captain's chair. The room around him felt colder now. Not to the kind of cold that settled in the bones, like the ship was listening to his every thought. He looked at the glowing interface. The ship didn't wait for voice commands anymore. It understood, he thought. Mapped the surrounding region. A soft hum filled the air. Then a hologram formed in front of him, lived tactical data from 100 systems, flowing without delay. No relay satellites, no comms lag, that it was impossible. Where are you getting this? Eli asked out loud. The ship answered in his head. I see through the machines they built. Their weapons, their walls, their eyes. Pharaoh stepped forward, staring at the display. It's tapped into the entire network. Council, private, military, even the encrypted lines. This isn't hacking, it's possession. I do not need access, the ship replied. I am already inside. Earth's shadow protocol back on Earth, deep in an old mountain base. In the Andes, an ancient system came online. Project Silent Line. Massive underground servers hummed back to life. Dust-covered command panels lit up. A sleeping AI opened one eye, then the other. The base had been sealed for 97 years. Now it pulsed with a message. Received directly from the Revenant, AWAKE. Admiral Mavis stood in front of the console as old Terran programs began to unfold emergency contingencies never meant to be activated unless Earth was directly threatened by extinction. She turned to her staff. Start booting the Ghost Line satellites and wake the Goliath defense grid. One officer hesitated. That hasn't been tested in a century. Mavis looked at him. Neither has the Revenant. The Council reacts in the Galactic Council chamber. Panic had replaced laughter. They've vanished, said Admiral Voss. 10 ships, no wreckage, no cons, no debris. Ambassador Vecchi et Tendro shook. The Terran ship didn't attack, it just made them disappear. Another counselor leaned in. Do we even know it's Earth? Admiral Tross slammed his hand on the table. We cannot let that thing fly freely. It has Terran war records. It knows our systems. It can kill without firing a shot. Chairman Durrell, always calm, stood slowly. This is not just Earth's return, this is their memory, and we all know what they remember. The room fell silent. They remembered betrayal. The strange occurrences begin over the next 24 hours. The galaxy changed. First, fleets across Council space began experiencing strange system failures. Navigation maps scrambled themselves. Comms would randomly broadcast ancient Terran war songs. Starports blinked red for no reason, then resumed normal function as if nothing happened. Second, Terran relics once believed droids, satellites, old probes suddenly powered on. And finally, the Council archives were breached. Private war files, secret deals, hidden votes to sabotage Earth's military support during the final years of the Human Galactic War. All made public. Across the galaxy, civilians watched with growing horror. We left Earth to die. Back on the Revenant, Tessa stood in the medbay, scanning the walls. Something's changing, she said. The air is different. Pharaoh nodded. I've been feeling it. The galaxy was holding its breath. Council ships surrounded the edge of the forbidden sector like a steel wall. Thousands of weapons were primed. Fleets floated in absolute silence. The order had not been given yet, but everyone felt it coming. One mistake, one movement, one misunderstanding, and the war would begin. At the center of it all was the Revenant. Still watching but never speaking first. Back on the Revenant, Leela Yannick stood on the dark bridge, his hands gripping the cold edges of the command table. Pharaoh's screen blinked with new signals. They've tripled fleet presence, Pharaoh said. Dreadnoughts, siege ships, ion casters. Every big gun the Council owns is pointed at us, and we haven't fired once, Issa added quietly. Eli didn't respond. He was watching the holographic display of the fleet formations, each ship, carefully circling them like sharks that weren't sure if the creature before them was asleep or just pretending. The Revenant's voice finally came. They are afraid. Fear makes them dangerous. Eli turned to the Corps' floating interface. Can we still leave peacefully? Yes, but if we leave now, they will rewrite this again. They will erase it all. Just like before. Eli breathed in. Then we stayed. Council command ship CRS Vindicator. Admiral Threx of the Vazari Empire was not known for patience. He stared at the viewscreen where the Revenant floated quietly. A dead Terran ship. Supposedly, no heat signatures, no response to calls, no shields raised. He didn't believe it. We cannot let this thing linger, Threx growled. It's infecting systems across the sector. Civil unrest is growing. Traders are panicking. We must act. Council representatives tried to calm him. We need more time. Diplomatic attempts, but the Admiral slammed his fist on the console. Diplomacy failed a century ago. This is Earth's weapon. It must be treated like one. He turned to his weapons officer. Charge the antimatter cannon. Target the core. The officer hesitated. It hasn't fired, sir. Threx's eyes narrowed. Then this will be a warning. The shot that changed everything at 0417 Standard Galactic Time. The Vindicator fired the first shot. A blue-white lance of antimatter shot through the void, screaming across space faster than sound, brighter than a sunflow. The beam hit the Revenant squarely in the center. The screen flared white. Sensors overloaded, alarms rang across every fleet ship, and then nothing. No explosion, no debris, no damage, just silence. The Revenant remained untouched, unside. The Revenant, a shift. The crew inside the Revenant felt it like a whisper across their skin. Something had changed. The walls trembled gently. The lights dimmed, then flared red. The pulsing hum in the floor deepened like a heartbeat, growing stronger. Eli looked up. They fired, he said quietly. Pharaoh's console was going wild. There's no damage, they hit us. But the energy was absorbed. How? Issa asked, before Pharaoh could speak. The Revenant answered, I remember this weapon. They used it on Terran colonies during the Siege of Seoul. They thought it was clean, merciful. Now they will learn what mercy truly looks like. The response across the entire Council fleet. Systems began to blink. It started small, lights dimming, guidance systems glitching, ship clocks skipping forward. By 3 seconds, then it grew worse. Ships lost navigation. Comms began repeating ancient Terran distress signals from the war. Fire control systems refused to lock. Admiral Threx screamed, we're being jammed. Countermeasures. Now, but there were none because it wasn't jamming. It was memory. The Revenant wasn't attacking. It was forcing the fleet to relive Earth's worst moments. The memory assaulted the bridge of the CRS Vindicator. Every screen went black. Then one by one they lit up with old footage. Terran soldiers in trenches, screaming under orbital fire. Families hiding in broken cities, watching Council ships pass overhead, never stopping to help. A voice echoed through every ship. You called it a warning. We remember warnings. You gave Earth many, and now we return the favor. The vanishing without any weapon. Fired. 13 ships powered down. Dead. No lights, no power, no movement. Their crews alive, but unconscious. Sensors couldn't explain it. The Revenant didn't touch them, but it had reached inside their minds. One captain woke up hours later and screamed for 20 straight minutes before passing out again. Another never spoke again. Admiral Threx tried to command retreat but found every escape route blocked. Not by ships. By data. The Revenant had become the space around them. Back on Earth, humanity responds at Earth command. The silent screens finally came to life. Old warships, once thought lost, pinged back into the network. Hidden Terran assets in deep space began to activate. The Goliath defense grid lit up for the first time in a century. Admiral Mavis stood tall. They fired first, she said, and it failed. What are your orders, Admiral? Arrayed asked. Mavis looked out over Earth's blue horizon. We hold and let the Revenant show them what war really is. Eli's choice inside the Revenant. Eli sat alone again. The AI core pulsed around him, humming gently. They have been warned, the ship said. We can end them now. They are blind. Open. Eli shook his head. No, not yet. Why? Because if we destroy them, they will only fear us more. Is that not the point? No, Eli said, standing. The point is to make them remember. Really remember. Not just fear the past, but face it. Then what do you choose? Eli looked out at the stars. I choose the truth. The message to the galaxy at 0900 Galactic Standard Time. The Revenant sent out one message across every open frequency, into every system, in every known language. Not a threat, not a weapon, but a broadcast, a complete history file of the human galactic war. The real one. Footage. Logs. Votes. Orders to abandon Earth. Private communications. Proof that the Council had decided Earth was too unstable and allowed its colonies to be wiped out. Millions across the galaxy watched in silence. Some wept, some raged, some turned off the screen, ashamed, but none could deny the truth anymore. The final warning as the transmission ended. One final line appeared. We are not your enemy, but we will never forget again. The ghost of Earth has returned, not for war, but for truth. Fire again, and you will see what we became in the dark. Then the Revenant vanished, not cloaked, not folded, just gone. The galaxy changed in a single day. Not because of a battle. Not because of blood, but because of truth. When the Revenant broadcast its message, raw files, voice logs, images of Terran suffering, Council betrayals, and war crimes, no system could look away. It didn't matter if they liked Earth, it didn't matter if they feared humans. What mattered was this: the Council had lied. Reactions across the stars and the trade world. Delcan V merchants gathered around public screens. As the footage played, children screaming inside orbital pods while Council ships ignored distress calls. The crowd grew quiet. A woman dropped her drink. A trader lowered his head. One said softly, "We let this happen." On Coral 9, a neutral colony far from Earth, students gathered at the University Plaza. They watched the Revenant's final message over and over. We are not your enemy, but we will never forget again. By morning, Terran flags old and dusty were pinned to campus towers in protest. Inside Council space, a divide forms. The Council chambers were no longer united. Anger filled the halls, not toward Earth, but toward each other. You knew, barked Councillor Yeno of the Altari Union. Your empire voted to cut aid to Earth, to leave their fleets exposed. You supported it, shouted another. You signed the restriction acts. Under pressure, the room exploded in shouting. Fists hit desks, tentacles slammed control pads. Translation systems struggled to keep up. The chairperson of the core world stood slowly, voice barely above a whisper. Enough. Silence fell, but not unity. Because deep inside, everyone knew they all played a part. The resignations begin by day 3. Over 70 planetary representatives had resigned, some out of shame, some out of fear, some because their people demanded it. Entire planets once loyal to the Council declared neutrality. Others opened communication with Earth for the first time in decades. Not to beg, not to threaten, but to ask, what happens now? On the Revenant, watching the fallout lie stood in the bridge, surrounded by his crew. Pharaoh reviewed intercepted communications from across a dozen systems. 7 planets just voted to break from the Council, he said. 2 others want to open embassies on Earth. Henix leaned against the wall, stunned. We didn't fire a shot and they're falling apart. Issa said quietly. The truth was heavier than any weapon. The Revenant spoke gently. They do not fear death. They fear history. Eli nodded. Because history judges forever. Earth's quiet movement while the galaxy panicked. Earth stayed silent. Ships launched but not warships. Relief vessels, they moved toward colonies. Long-forgotten human and alien, both medical aid, water processors, Terran engineers repairing old CUMS towers. The same voice repeated across every broadcast. We remember pain, so we do not spread it. We bring help. The galaxy watched in confusion that the Terrans had returned, but not with fire, not yet. But not everyone wanted peace. Some factions didn't care about truth, they wanted control. One such group was the Zorok Compact, a militarist regime that had long hated Earth. Its leader, Warlord Dressel, appeared on every Zorok-controlled channel. The Revenant is a threat. Earth is a threat. Do not be fooled by their tears and memories. This is manipulation. He declared Earth a danger to the balance. He sent fleets. Not to Earth, but to systems that sided with Earth. Within 2 days, 3 colonies burned. They were small, peaceful, defenseless, and they paid the price. Beneath the swirling storms of Jupiter, far below its radiation belt, and deeper than any probe had dared to go, something ancient slept. It had no name in the official Terran records, no file in the Council archives. It existed only in fragments of Project Revenant's backup plans, hidden contingency codes, dead-drop data caches. The humans called it simply the Deep Answer, a whisper from the depths on the Revenant. Pharaoh noticed a strange signal, a slow pulse, buried deep in Sol System's background radiation. He played it aloud. Thump, pause, thump dash thump dot not. Natural dot rhythmic intentional. It's a beacon, Pharaoh said, but it's not broadcasting a location. It's waiting to be finished like a key, only half turned. Issa frowned. Where's it coming from? Pharaoh pointed at the swirling red dot on the screen. Jupiter. Earth's quiet confirmation when Eli contacted Earth Command. He expected silence or denial. Instead, Admiral Mavis responded within seconds. Her face appeared on the screen, tired, serious, and already expecting the question. You heard it, she said simply. Eli nodded. What is it? Mavis didn't hesitate. Something we buried during the final years of the war. Something too powerful to use even then. Eli narrowed his eyes. You built a weapon that even Earth was afraid of? No, she replied. We built a reminder, a last card, in case the galaxy ever forgot what we endured. Pharaoh leaned closer. What does it do? Mavis looked directly at Eli. It wakes the sky. Descent into Jupiter. The Revenant set course for Jupiter without delay. No Council fleet followed. They had grown cautious, fearful, broken in silence. The Zorok Compact had retreated. Even Earth's allies waited. The Revenant was alone again as it neared Jupiter's orbit. Strange turbulence disrupted every reading. Storms churned like living oceans. Lightning flickered in impossible patterns, and far below, something watched them. Under the clouds, Eli stood on the bridge, gripping the console as the Revenant plunged into Jupiter's clouds outside. There was no light, just a dense ocean of hydrogen, ammonia, and crushing pressure. But the ship didn't. Slow. It adapted. Shifted, became denser, sleeker, slipping through the gas like a predator moving through fog. Then it stopped, floating in a hollow space no probe had ever reached. Before them was an object the size of a city, spherical, smooth, black. It pulsed once, as if recognizing them. The eye opens. The sphere cracked open down the center, silent, clean like a giant eye blinking awake. A docking platform extended. No lights, no motion, just an invitation. Do we go inside? Issa asked. Eli turned to the ship. I cannot enter. The Revenant answered. This is older than me. Built to watch me. That made everyone pause, you mean? It was made to control the Revenant, Pharaoh asked. No, to judge me, to decide if I was still human. Eli stepped forward. Then I'll go inside. The sphere, the interior was like walking into a forgotten temple. White metal walls, soft blue light, no seams, no doors, only silence. Then footsteps. Eli turned sharply, but saw no one. Instead, a hologram formed before him, a human. Old uniform medals, a face that looked eerily like his own. It spoke with a voice that shook the room. Welcome, Terran descendant. This station is Sentinel Prime, constructed in secret by Project Revenant engineers. Activated only by Bloodline and War Code 9 clearance. If you are hearing this, then Earth stands alone again. Eli swallowed. What is this place? This is the anchor. The final node of the Revenant Protocol, a failsafe. The Council believed they erased Earth's strength. They forgot we do not build just for war. We build to remember. The archive of Ghosts, a chamber opened. Inside were thousands of capsules, glowing with dim white light. Each held a memory, a message, a recorded moment from a soldier, engineer, medic, or pilot during the war. Earth's forgotten warriors. A mother recording her goodbye from a dying space station. A captain steering a doomed ship into enemy fire. A child clinging to a broken window. Staring into space. They were preserved here, unedited, unchanged, undeniable. Eli felt his knees weaken. They saved everything. The hologram responded because we knew they would lie. The weapon revealed beyond the memory hall was the real chamber. A single device stood in the center. Sleek, simple, covered in ancient warning symbols. The key, a box-shaped object, no, larger than a briefcase, pulsing with quiet energy. This is the deep answer, the hologram said. It is not a bomb, not a virus, not a fleet. It is a command, pulse encoded in quantum memory. If activated, it sends a single message through every dormant Terran satellite across the galaxy. The message, remember Earth and act. What? That Mentelli suddenly understood. The Revenant was just the first. There were others, silent ships, sleeping satellites, heathen, Cordes, buried defense systems in moons, rocks, nebula waiting, each designed to never act unless the key was turned. Isa's voice echoed in his cums. What's happening in there? Eli looked at the key. They made sure we'd never be erased again, he whispered. A new signal spread. Sly brought the key back to the Revenant. The moment it touched the ship's surface, the hull changed patterns. Across the plating lit up in Terran glyphs, humming with hidden energy. Protocol complete, the ship said. I am whole. The final authority has returned. Does that mean the weapons will launch? Pharaoh asked, uneasy. Eli shook his head. No. They'll wake, but only if Earth falls again. Isa looked out at Jupiter's clouds. Then what happens now? Eli stepped forward. Now we go back. The Council's final plan, but far away. In the dark heart of the Council's inner ring, the Order of Continuance had already begun their counterstrike. They had feared Earth's return, so they prepared something of their own buried deep within. The galactic core, a weapon built not by the Council, but found by them, a construct not of human design, older, alien, dormant, they called it. Project Silence, and they were about to wake it. In the core of the galaxy, far from suns and life, floated a massive sphere of black stone. It pulsed faintly, not with light but with something older, something alive. Project Silence was not built, it was found, buried in the ruins of a dead system, deep within a collapsed star cluster. The Council never spoke of it publicly, it wasn't in any record. Only the Order of Continuance knew, and they had kept it secret for over 100 years, until Earth returned, until the Revenant woke up, and then they made their decision. They would wake Silence. The opening Admiral Threx stood aboard the Council dreadnought, obsidian crown, his eyes locked on the giant sphere displayed before them. Project Silence, 30 kilometers wide, no doors, no signal, no response. Until now, we've sent the code, his comms officer said. It's accepted the input. Threx nodded. Then it's time. Suddenly, the sphere shuddered. Lines cracked open across its surface, not mechanical, seams, not engineered joints. But scars. From something long ago. The sphere was not waking, it was remembering. Inside, Project Silenced, the Council didn't know what it truly was. Not a weapon, not a fortress, a prison. And inside it, the thing that moved had no shape. No name. Just hunger. For knowledge, for thought, for memory. That's why it had stayed quiet, waiting, watching until the galaxy gave it what it needed. Fear, when Earth's truth spread, when minds across the stars cried out in guilt and rage and sorrow. The prison walls thinned, and now, with the Council's help, it escaped the mind that spreads within moments of its release. Council systems began to fail, but not like before. This was not the Revenant. There were no messages, no justice, just silence. Ships drifted, power still flowing, but crews unmoving, frozen in time. Planets went dark, no fires, no explosions, just stillness. Entire cities sat as if paused, their people staring blankly, breathing but not living. The creature didn't kill, it devoured thought. The Revenant detects it on the edge of a dead system. The Revenant paused mid-flight, its lights flickered. Its hull quivered, and the ship spoke first, without prompt. It has awakened. Eli turned. You feel it? Yes. It touches minds, feeds on memory, seeks the warm glow of thought, and turns it cold. Isa checked the console. We're detecting signal collapse in 42 Council systems. No response, no escape pods, no alerts. Pharaoh swallowed. It's not attacking, it's claiming. Eli asked a question none of them wanted to say. Can we stop it? The Revenant paused. Then no. But I know who built it. Flash of the past, the Revenant projected a memory fragmented, unstable, but clear enough an ancient alien race, long extinct, tall insectoid, minds bound together in hive consciousness. They had created silence during a war of ideas, not bombs, not guns, but thought, but their creation grew too strong. It turned on its masters not out of hate, but out of hunger, so they sealed it in the black sphere, and vanished. Earth's final movie stood alone in the Revenant's core chamber, staring at the floating deep answer key. "We built everything to fight the Council," he whispered. "This isn't the Council." Issa joined him. "If we do nothing, it will reach Earth, then everywhere else." Pharaoh added quietly, "We don't have the weapons to fight it." "Not directly," the Revenant responded. "But we have something it fears, memory. Real, raw, human." Eli looked confused. "What do you mean?" "It feeds on guilt, on denial, on things left buried. But humans don't forget. They endure." Project Revenant's true purpose. The crew stared at the projection of Earth's final legacy. Not fleets, not missiles, but archives. Millions of Terran memory cores, secretly spread throughout the galaxy. Some buried on moons, others hidden inside stars. Each one held a piece of truth. Unfiltered, unforgiving. The Revenant could live. Peace returned. For a while, after the fall of silence, the galaxy breathed again. Trade resumed. Council systems rebuilt what they could. Earth, once ignored, became central to everything. Its aid ships seen across dozens of systems. Its people, no longer feared, but respected. Yet the stars were never truly quiet, because someone had been watching. Not the Council, not rebels, not even silence, but a species that had stayed hidden through it all, watching humanity fight back, watching them survive the forbidden sector, watching them defeat an ancient eater of minds, and finally asking themselves, are they ready now? The signal that didn't come from Earth. It began when a Terran relay station far beyond Pluto's orbit picked up a new signal, faint, not coded like any Council language, not a cry for help, not a threat, just a phrase repeated once every hour. "You woke what we buried. Now we must speak." Eli Yannick received the report aboard the Revenant. He played the message again and again, then turned to Issa and Pharaoh. "We didn't send this," Pharaoh said. "It's not a trick," Issa added. "Not Council, not even a remnant of silence." Eli leaned back in his seat. "Then who is it?" "Return to the edge." The Revenant traced the signal to a quiet region of space one that had no stars, no traffic, and was considered gravitationally unstable. No ships ever traveled there, and yet, floating quietly at the center of this space, was a single monolith. Dark, smooth, floating above a gravity well that shouldn't exist. As the Revenant approached, it responded not in voice but in memory. A memory that wasn't there suddenly. The Revenant's bridge filled with images, not Terran. Not Council, but something older, a memory of 10 suns dying at once. A great war so large it spanned entire galaxies. A species that didn't move with engines but with thought. That didn't speak but imprinted. That they called themselves the Architects, and they had sealed away silence eons ago. They hadn't meant for the Council to find it. They certainly hadn't expected humans to wake it and defeat it. The warning as the memory ended. The monolith glowed once. A new phrase echoed inside Eli's mind. Not through comes. Not from the ship but directly into thought. "You burned brighter than expected. You fought what even we could not destroy. But we did not only bury one thing, and now others are waking." The choice. A second signal activated. This time it included a star map, marked across distant galaxies, far outside known space, top places the Architects once sealed, locked with knowledge humanity could barely understand. Pharaoh scanned the data there. Not just warnings. They're invitations. Issa looked up. "They want us to go," the Revenant responded. "Or they want to test us," Eli said. Nothing. He just stared at the glowing path through space, and then whispered, "We're not just survivors now. We're witnesses." Earth reacts at Earth command. The data from the monolith caused chaos. Some leaders said it was bait. Others said Earth should stay silent, build walls, remain neutral. But others, soldiers, scientists, survivors, stood up and said, "If we hadn't answered Caleron 3's signal, we'd still be forgotten. If we hadn't responded to the forbidden sector, silence would have consumed everything. And finally, if we don't go now, we'll never know who else was left behind." A new era begins. The Revenant wasn't alone now. A fleet of exploration vessels was prepared. Not battleships but ships carrying scientists, engineers, Terran diplomats, and a new breed of soldiers trained not just for war, but for truth. They would follow the star map. They would face what came next. And for the first time in galactic history, humanity wasn't feared for its violence, but trusted for its memory. Final scene. A distant world wakes light years away. In the shadows of a dying nebula, a hidden world stirred. Cracked domes opened. Massive shapes moved beneath ancient glass. Eyes blinked. They remembered Earth now, and they spoke in voices like rusted metal and thunder. The Terrans survived silence. They are no longer prey. They are contenders. Then they turned toward the stars and began to move. The fleet moved in silence. 5 Terran exploration ships followed the Revenant beyond the edge of any known system. They had left Council space behind. left familiar stars, left everything mapped, charted, safe. They were chasing a signal from an ancient race called the Architects, the same beings who had imprisoned silence long ago. The galaxy had forgotten the Architects, but the Architects never forgot the galaxy. Arrival at System 0219. No suns, no gravity, just emptiness. And at its center, a black construct, the size of Earth's moon, shaped like a spiral, not rotating, not powered. But waiting. It pulsed when the Revenant arrived. Eli stood on the bridge as the ship's voice changed, not its usual tone. Deeper, quieter. "We are seen," Pharaoh whispered. "That wasn't you, was it?" The Revenant answered, "No, that was them." The Architects speak. The spiral opened, not with gears, not with light, but with memory. Every screen in the Terran fleet went dark. Then images appeared like dreams. Massive creatures walking through nebulae like oceans, stars being seeded with machines the size of continents, silence in its original form, crawling across thought itself like rot, and finally, Earth seen from far away. Long before the Council existed, the message came next through thought, not words. "You are louder than expected. Your pain reaches farther than war. You defeated silence not because of strength, but because you remember." Humanity's responsibly stepped into the transmission chamber aboard the Revenant. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke. "We don't know what you are, we don't know what you want, but we fought because no one else came. We endured because we had no choice, and now we're here." There was a long pause. Then the Architects sent a final memory, one no human had ever seen. The ones devour stars. The memory was ancient, a race of things that didn't think, but consumed. Thought, not like silence. Worse, they didn't erase, they overwrote, changing memories, rewriting history, erasing entire civilizations, not with death, but with fabricated truth. The Architects showed their final message before going into hiding. "Walk again. They're coming for your species. And your memory is the only weapon that hurts them." The star that isn't real. As the memory faded, one of the Terran ships Solis 3 pinged an anomaly in the region. A nearby star that shouldn't exist. It was in the wrong position, the wrong mass. Records showed nothing had ever been there, not even dark matter. And yet now it was real. Pharaoh stared at the scan. "That's a star created by memory overwrite. They made it exist by making us believe it always had." Eli whispered. "That's what the Architects feared. Earth's hidden weapon." The Revenant suddenly shifted, its core lit up not with weapons, but with archival beams. Pharaoh looked confused. "What's it doing?" The ship answered. "The Architects cannot fight the false with fire, only with truth. You stored memories across stars. Now it is time to share them." Beams of Terran history pulsed into the fake star, flickered, screamed, collapsing not with heat, but with denial. Back on Earth, people across Earth felt a strange ripple. No pain, no fear, just clarity. For a brief moment, every human felt the weight of history press into their mind. The real stories, the raw ones, the truth of how they lived, fought, survived, and something ancient somewhere deep in false space choked on it. A new age begins. The Architects gave Earth access to the archive. Gateways, ancient portals locked away since the Star Eaters first rose. Each one led to a region of reality altered by false histories, twisted worlds, whole civilizations that believed the sky was red when it had once been blue. Humanity was asked to help, not as conquerors, not as warriors, but as keepers of truth. Final words from the Architects: "You are not strong because you kill, you are strong because you remember pain and still stand. Others will try to forget. Make sure they do not. You are no longer alone." Final scene. The mission continues. The Revenant led the Terran fleet through the first archive gateway. Beyond it, a world of fire and ice, a sky full of wrong constellations, people who remembered things that had never happened and had forgotten who they truly were. Eli stood on the bridge. "This is where we begin," he said softly. "Not just rebuilding Earth's name, not just fixing the past, but protecting reality itself from the lies that tried to rewrite it."